Hey, everyone.
And welcome back to Becca's Book Club Adventure. I'm Becca.
And I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in to yet another episode.
Tonight, we're back to escape reality and unpack the fantastical chaos of Crescent City.
And tonight's episode is sponsored by Home Renovations.
That's right, home renovations. For when you want to pay someone to invade your personal space and your mental stability. Goes great with drywall dust, the constant hum of power tools, and the ever-haunting sounds of oops. Side effects may include extended timelines, bloated budgets, and a total lack of alone time. And of course, diarrhea. Use as directed by your misplaced optimism.
Is your optimism feeling misplaced right now?
I think this will be our last home renovation for a good minute.
I know you guys did stuff in the basement. Is Kevin just like, this was out of his depth?
Yeah, because they're building he's a carpenter, right? So he built our all of our drawers, all of the facing, the wood paneling. So this closet is going to be supreme when it's done. It's just been a long process to get there.
I'm sure it will be supreme. I'll just point out that none of the rest of us in the family will get to enjoy it.
That's true. That's true. It is a very selfish home renovation project. One I much need.
Well, I guess introduction aside, before we recap the chunk of reading that we did, I've got to ask the ever-present question. What's the vibe check doing?
Okay, so you know how last week I said I would finish it really fast if we weren't doing this, and you were like, yeah, I would have finished it in week 1. I think I have decided, I think Bryce is my favorite. If I had to pick Selena, Feyre, or Bryce is my favorite.
I think the jury's out on that for me until the book or maybe even the series is actually finished.
Book 2 or 3 might completely change my opinion.
She is damn endearing.
She is.
I think with the other books, the other series, the books got better as they went on, but I feel like with this one, the book itself keeps getting better with every chunk that I read. Well,
yeah, it's like interweaving in itself. The timeline you managed to put together for us, I'm very impressed by. I would not have been able to do that because I just feel the chaos vibing in my brains as I read, and I'm loving that.
yeah, I really feel like the next timeline that I'll put together, I feel like at least for the next Sarah J. Maas book, we might have to read more at once. Like, I feel like the timeline I did might be very applicable to some unknown author that we haven't read yet. But I think SJM is tried and true, and we can go at it.
Yes.
Well, anyway, this week we read chapters 38 to 52 of House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. It's a really juicy chunk of reading. But before we actually talk about stuff, let's just hit a little bit of a recap first.
All right, so last time we left off with a cliffhanger in the investigation. Thanks to Ruhn's friend Declan, Bryce and Hunt learned that the video footage from the temple, the night the Luna's horn was stolen, has been swapped for a different part of the city. And the only person capable of doing that was Danika's mother, Sabine.
Bryce and Hunt's investigation picks up right where it left off, with their suspicions of Sabine's treachery. Hunt asks others of the Triari to help him track down leads and find anything to firm up their suspicions. But what we're really getting is a lot of relationship building and character bonding between the two.
While Bryce and Hunt ramp up their investigation, Ruhn dives deeper into his search for the horn. In his search for how light that's not light and magic that's not magic that can repair the horn, Ruhn consults a medwitch about healing possibilities that might be applied to the horn. She finds some theories from recent medical advancement and sends that information over to Ruhn, who shares the possibilities with Hunt and Bryce. She also warns that repairing the horn could come with serious risks, suggesting that its power and the consequences of using it may be greater than anyone realizes.
Meanwhile, Hunt's and Bryce's suspicions about Sabine culminate in a visit to the Den's headquarters. Bryce has confrontations with various wolf shifters, notably Emily and Ethan, before finally being able to directly question Sabine.
Sabine lies to them about Danika's whereabouts the night the horn was stolen, and being the wolves all being jerks and hating on Bryce, all the old wounds and guilt and depression that Bryce has about the night Danika and Connor were murdered are ripped open anew.
In the aftermath, Bryce and Hunt are ambushed by the Kristallos demon. As surprised as they are, they're able to kill it, something no one else had managed yet.
This victory raises big questions for the investigation. Are they stronger together than they realize? Or is there something else going on with the demon that they haven't uncovered yet? Why do all the murder victims look different than the wounds on the survivors of the Kristallos? What are they missing?
After the fight with the Kristallos demon, their partnership starts to shift into something more.
They share a charged, intimate moment on Bryce's rooftop, hinting at the depth of their growing bond, because nothing says sexy quite like almost dying. But things are just heating up, and Sabine interrupts them.
During this confrontation, Sabine drops a bombshell. Danika is the one who stole Luna's horn, and Sabine tampered with the security footage to protect her daughter's legacy. The revelation adds major complexity to Danika's motives and casts some serious doubt on everything Bryce thought she knew.
Looking for more answers, Bryce and Hunt meet with Therion, a sexy Mer intelligence officer for the River Queen. He agrees to look into the situation, eventually giving them some info about a bunch of bodies that were found in the Istros River, which all tie to the evenings of the previous murders.
After Bryce is able to get over all of his abs, these bodies just seem to lead to more questions than answers. So, rather than wasting time trying to find answers on their own, Bryce decides to summon the demon prince, Adis, from hell directly to get more information.
This is super convenient for everyone, especially since Bryce knows this demon, because she met him the day that she visited the Oracle, and he actually wants to help her.
He informs Bryce that the demons from hell aren't doing anything to mess with the Crescent City world. And before he departs, he tells her to rerun the tests on Danika from the night of her murder, to look for what's, quote, in between, to make the drop, and after she does, to find him again.
One more thing. The Oracle didn't see that day Bryce visited her, but the demon prince Adius did. And he wants to quote, finish what they started.
Shit. Okay, so all of that happened. There's a lot we can talk about. I think the biggest thing that came out of this chunk of reading was the being ambushed by the Kristallos demon. And I think we should maybe start there.
That whole scene was a mind fuck, to be quite honest.
100%, I was not expecting it.
No. And I always struggle when I hear like fight scenes or war scenes because I have a hard time keeping up with who's doing what. But Sarah J. Maas does a really good job of it, of not only letting you feel the chaos of the situation, but also you can leave knowing what goes on.
Yeah, after all the reading I've done over the years, I feel pretty adept at being able to pick out tropes and like predict what's about to happen or where a plot line is going or something. I think actually Elizabeth gets really annoyed at me sometimes because I'll do it with TV shows too. Uh, but I didn't see this one coming. And especially when it happened, I didn't expect them to kill the thing.
Right? Because I was kind of figuring it would just scurry off and then they would be left with more things to kill up and go catch.
Yeah, and then higher paranoia, more anxiety. Um, but like that brings up the question, right? How was Hunt able to kill this damn thing? Like that seems impossible given that at the time we were led to believe that this thing killed Danika and the pack and Maximus Tertian and everybody.
And they didn't just like kill it, right? Like Hunt like beheads it, and then uh Bryce shoots it through the head, and then the head gets severed into like 16 different pieces. So like it wasn't like, oh, we managed to nick it and it bled out on its way leaving us.
And then all of the bodies that the merman sexy time dude finds in the river, they all bear the same marks that Hunt has on his shoulder after being bit or whatever. But all of the murder scenes are like just like piles of people, right? They're not just bite marks and whole corpses. So like clearly this demon didn't kill the main the main murders.
Right. Which
So
means
what the hell
there's
have we
two,
been investigating and reading about for freaking 500 pages?
right? So like there's either a second type of demon out there that did the murdering of Danika, or someone is releasing a demon and someone else is doing the shredding.
Do you think is okay? So we know that Sabine seems to know some shit, and that's why she wants everybody to stay out of it, and she just wants to handle it. But we
Yes.
also learn that the Autumn King refused to allow any sort of like Fey intervention. So, what do these two people know? Like, what do you think they know anything, or do they just like what like, or are they just saying, "What the f is this? I don't want to get involved."
I think the Autumn King might be orchestrating some of this shit. And
Mm.
Sabine, I think, is trying to at least keep the pack's name clear. I think Sabine is a net neutral. I think she's been an enemy all this time and is now becoming a neutral person.
Yeah, I know. Last time we talked, I said that I didn't think Sabine was to blame, but I do think that there's some type of treachery in the wolf pack somewhere, and I'm just trying to reevaluate that. Um, but more than anything, something that has caught my attention in the back of my mind. So in the last chunk of reading we did, it was all about like Sandriel coming to town,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we got a lot of Hunt's backstory, and Micah is this like savior dude, right? And we also learned that like Crescent City is like a very prominent post to be elected to govern.
Yes.
So, okay, I say all of that to ask this question. If all of the archangels that Hunt was enslaved by, that put down the rebellion, are these evil, fucking bloodthirsty monster people, how is it that Micah is such a good person and was promoted to govern such a prominent region? Like I feel like Micah, like there's a shoe that's waiting to drop.
Well, and Micah's story and approach is interesting because he's being told that we're being told as readers that he's this terrible, horrible monster, but he keeps giving Hunt the out. So is he just a softie that is trying to play the game?
You know, that is interesting because the demon prince that got summoned referred to Hunt, like looked at Hunt in awe when he sensed Hunt's power, and used the title Lord of Lightning.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do they want with Hunt? That's a good point, Becca.
And why is Hunt known by the sixth demon of hell, or the fifth demon of hell?
Okay, so Micah also said that he wants Bryce involved because Danika statistically knew her murderer, and therefore Bryce knew Danika so well, so Bryce might have some connection to her murderer. Okay, I didn't think that that held water for the longest time. I thought that was just like SJM trying to throw rationale to put people in proximity and kick off the plot. But then I was thinking, okay, but Danika was pleading for her life. Would you do that with somebody that you don't know?
Oh. Well, fortunately, I've never been in a situation to have to think about that hard. But I do think your pleas are a lot more convincing if you do know the person.
I think that the investigation is going to ramp up hard now that the Kristallos demon is dead. We have like a red herring and scapegoat out of the way.
But we have just one out of the way. I'm still
That's
not
true.
convinced that's all of the Kristallos.
No.
Okay, but we got to talk about Ruhn and his medwitch and this scene where he goes and kind of hits on her while trying to get information at the same time.
Can I be honest? This is giving me hardcore flashback vibes to like Dorian and Sorsha or Kale and Irene.
Right? I think it's more Dorian and Sorsha because we don't know much about the medwitch yet.
We don't even know her name.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Um, I'm really hoping that SJM does a parallel to Sorsha insofar as Sorsha came out of left field, out of nowhere. And then we learned that she was on the scene of every single injury and wound of Selena, Kale, and Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
So this Medwitch, is she going to have been on every single scene and just was always in the background? I hope so.
Right?
Otherwise, who the F is she?
Well, and she's painted as this very young woman who has this very intense education and has gone through all these things, which gives me the sense that she's a lot more of a player than we expect. And I think her story is not what she's telling.
Do you trust her?
No, not in the slightest. I trust her information. I don't trust her as a character.
What's your gut tell you?
About trusting her or her information.
Either.
I think her information is right. I think she wants to solve the mystery, but I think she has an ulterior motive that we will find.
Do you think she's a little bit more like Manon then? Like out for the witches instead of.
Yeah. Like maybe she's warning them about the horn because she knows exactly how to use the horn.
Is this the first time that we've learned about the witches?
No, we learned about the witches very early on and that they have their three goddesses and some of the different layers of it, but we haven't met a witch yet.
Oh yeah, they have the three-faced gut. Don't the Blackbeaks and the witches in Throne of Glass also have a three? Damn. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you don't trust her motivations, which I agree with you, I have to ask. I have to wonder: are she and Ruhn going to actually fall in love, or is she going to dick him over? Like, is she going to um come around and pull a Sorsha and actually fall in love, or
No. No, the flirting felt like Ruhn was conveniently flirting because he's a playboy, and the Medwitch was like, well, I need information too, so I will play the game.
it is going to be really interesting to see. I just really hope we learn her name because, like, otherwise, we're gonna get some scene of Ruhn like beating it off in the shower to this girl, and he doesn't even know her name, and that's just super creepy to me.
Yep.
Um,
And she shows up wildly convenient at the murder scene. Like, just waltzes in, like, they're shutting down streets and all of this thing to try and cover this up as quickly as possible, but she just waltzes in, drops a little truth bomb, and heads out.
and she was the one that was conveniently there to patch up Hunt after the Kristallos, right?
Yes.
But she's running a
Her sister's clinic.
her sister's clinic. So how is she like on call for all of these CSI adventures?
And is this sister really in existence? I don't know.
Also, she is also a snack. I gotta so this is this is the writer in me. I I read or heard or something somewhere that when you read a book, it'll often tell you more about the writer than it does about the subjects of the book.
Okay.
So when we get a lot of um, these, ACOTAR or TOG books, or even now Crescent City, I can't help but wonder what is going through SJM's brain. Why is every female gorgeous? And why does every male have some type of long, uh, never ending love trauma that they're dealing with?
Hmm. Are these the rose-colored glasses in which she looks at her friends through?
Maybe. It's hard to know because from what I know, she met her husband like the day she moved into college. So anyway, I think the other crazy shit that went down was the whole summoning of that demon. Um,
I fucking loved that whole scene so much.
I think the first thing that I loved was that $10,000 7 pound block of black salt that Bryce bought. By the by, that I just figured was going to be a non-entity moving forward. She used her food processor to grind it down.
And I love that that detail is mentioned.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start with the line of questions here.
So I'm not sure if I fully understood this. So she made two circles to keep the demon doubly in?
No, I think there was the circle for the demon, and then there was a second circle outside of that for her and Hunt. So it was like one circle to contain the demon, and if the demon happened to break free of it, a second circle to contain or protect she and Hunt.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense.
Well, I guess let's go not chronologically in the book, but we can go chronologically within Bryce's life. So this demon of its own accord
Yep.
snuck into the world when she was 12 or 13 and visiting the Oracle
As a
because she's
cat.
interesting.
Just as a cat. I think this is where we're going to find out about Bryce's powers.
Yeah, and he says, "What blinds an Oracle?" Those are his first words to her, and actually some of his last. Um, and can I just starborn power, like, which also is that the light that's not light that repairs the horn, like, and it
Helper.
has to be why the prince is interested in her, right? Because the ultimate demon prince is referred to as the Star Eater.
Yes.
So there's some power thing going on with the levels of hell and the Starborn. So like is the demon prince interested in Bryce? Like he's doing a really good job of making it seem like they're friendly, but is Bryce like some pawn in his intergalactic game to take power?
Well, and I've read quite a few books recently where the devil ends up being the husband of the main character. So my brain is like, oh, is Hunt just a side thing? And this is where we're really going?
Oh, I like that. That's interesting. That's hot
Right?
because he's really cold. So how does he have sex with Bryce if he's just gonna like kill her with his cold? So does she like melt his frozen heart, as it were?
Maybe. And she was into an angel and now she's into the devil.
Mm, okay, so do you think is he going to actually help her or is he setting her up for something?
He's definitely setting her up for something. She is a pawn in one of his games because he mentions multiple times to her that she needs to make the drop. So he has long term plans for what she's going to accomplish.
Yeah, he says to make the drop and come back and find him so that they can finish what they started. What the hell do you think that is?
I don't even know. I would be grasping at straws to even attempt to guess what they started.
I
Maybe
can't.
overthrowing her dad. Do you think the devil can freeze out the Autumn King's fire?
Yes. So if these demons are the same as the Vogue, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that these demon princes in Crescent City are not like the princes in Throne of Glass, because the princes in Throne of Glass were still like tiers and tiers and tiers below Erewhon and his brothers.
Yep.
I'm guessing that these princes in Crescent City are like a step above Erewhon and his brothers.
Because they lead their realms as far as we've understood.
Yeah.
And their realms are being described as planets in a universe. So we get a little bit of ideas of these cities or these concepts that are thought to be mythological are actually planets that are connected and can be traveled to.
Yeah. And he said there you can think of them that way. So I wonder, are they that way? Or is it like some string theory concept of alternate dimensions that I can't even really visualize? But either way, you're right. They're real places, and it has nothing to do with like heaven, Crescent City, hell.
Right.
I think I think this demon dude is the thing I'm most interested to read more about.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, we want to find who killed Danika, uh, and in my mind, we have three. We have Sabine, Sabine, Autumn King, and I'm just going to go ahead and say an archangel. I don't know who it would be, but like also think of it. Why is Sandriel coming a month before the summit? For like as an example.
And we still don't really know the importance yet of the summit other than the
That's
political
true.
importance. It's got to have a plot importance.
Um, yeah. So hopefully Bryce goes and makes the drop in the next chunk and visits back with this demon because otherwise it's going to kill me. The temptation or the tension.
Well, and her and Hunt discuss who would help her make the drop, and I think it's going to be Hunt.
I think it's going to be Hunt too. That seemed to be some tension and nobody wanted to say it because it was like too intimate or something.
Right? Because she goes through her options of it could be her friend June, or it could be Ruhn, or it could be the like the public stand-in.
Uh-huh. Speaking of Bryce and Hunt, some shit went down with them.
They got real steamy, like sniffing each other's necks, steamy,
Have you noticed that SJM is big on the neck stuff in all of her books?
and smell. She must
Well, okay.
love just cuddling in.
I get the smell. I get the smell because the Fae and the shifters and whatever all have heightened olfactory senses. I get that. But the tactile sense on everybody's necks seems to be the ultimate turn on.
Hmm.
So I have to. I'm gonna. You're my sister-in-law, so feel free not to answer here. Does that do it for you?
No, I think it comes from we're all I don't know. I shouldn't say we. I feel like people tell you the spots you're supposed to put your perfume, right? You're supposed to put it right behind your ear, right back down in here, and then like right in the collarbone area. So I feel like that's just what she's riffing off of, where we're told to put perfume.
Do you think Sarah J. Maas is a little bit kinky in her personal life with necking?
Whatever floats the boat.
But yeah, that rooftop moment, man. So how cinematic would that be? Because they're in the rain,
Mm-hmm.
rooftop. Think New York City, think Chicago, think London for all of me. At night in the rain, they just survived dying.
Yep. A real big hug turns into a little bit more.
Yeah, little high schooly. I mean,
Yep.
but
And this is how she likes to build tension, right? Like none of her books start off uh spicy. They all start off steamy at best.
can I say that I really enjoy Sarah J. Maas's slow burns? There are some other books where the spice level is just through the roof, but like it's almost like porno spice
Mhm.
level. And it's like, I mean, this is great. I would love to do that. But when you're reading and you have like 800 pages to go, you don't want it to just be, you know, dicking down from page 5.
Well, and you give a shit about the characters by the time they come together, right? Like, I feel like a lot of other things I read or listen to, like I'm listening to this book or this audio series, Filthy Rich Vampires. It's good. I like it. It's exactly what you think it is. And every other book, I'm like, I think I hate the main character. But I've never felt that way with Sarah J. Maas's books. There, at no point have I been like, I don't think I like the main character, and it's being steamy at the same time. Like, I might not like the character at the beginning, but then she makes me win them over before we progress too far.
Yeah, I really enjoy the slow burn. Hey, how long were you and Kevin together before the engagement happened, or even the wedding?
6 or so years. The wedding was a long time.
Yeah, I was with Elizabeth and I got married on our 6-year anniversary. So maybe that's why we like the slow burn because it's what our lives were.
Right? Like Kevin and I met in college and we didn't even start dating till like 4 years later.
It's okay. I met your sister when we were kids, and I didn't start dating her until after college.
I think that's an appropriate timeline.
Okay, so you
Uh,
mentioned I really like your theory about Adis, the demon dude, being like the real Beau.
yeah.
So, but I still really like Bryce and Hunt's chemistry.
Yeah. And Hunt, I think, will unravel if that goes nowhere.
So, who do you think's going to make the real first move? Like, I guess they just sort of had a moment, but nobody made the plunge. Like, who's going to go for it?
It's got to be Bryce. Bryce
Yeah,
makes
Bryce.
hard moves fast.
Yeah, that also goes with Hunt seems to be very protective or
Hmm.
conscientious of her hurt.
He would wait for permission.
He's not waiting for too much permission in his alone time in her shower.
Yeah. He's not gonna to vocalize the request, but if she pursues, he's going to say yes.
Do you see anything like getting in their way?
This investigation, obviously. But romantically, no.
I think for the sake of plot, they are going to discover somebody. I don't know who. That's not important, but they're going to have a some type of disagreement on how to like move forward with this suspect. And I think that's going to cause some type of rift in their relationship that is going to have to be resolved.
Hmm. And if it's unresolvable, we're gonna be hooking up with the devil.
Maybe. I mean, we do have 2 more books.
We do. And people apparently hate the next 2 books, right? So
I
that
don't
means this goes a direction we don't know yet.
let's people hated some of Throne of Glass books. I think most notably Tower of Dawn, sure. But then like you and I have discussed privately that some of the middle of Throne of Glass is a little bit of a slog to get through.
Yeah.
But we don't hate it.
No.
It's just a little bit more work than some of the other books that are like lightning fast to read. And I know for a fact that people hate some of the Akatar books, especially the 2 most recent ones, kind of focusing on Nesta. Um, so is it just that? Is it the internet being hyperbolic? Do we think it's actually going to be bad?
I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's the internet being hyperbolic. And I think that because I can simultaneously tell you that I do not like Nesta's storyline and I did not like the Silver Flames. However, the last half of that book I thoroughly enjoyed. It was just the first half that I hated.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Nesta storyline either. Man, especially because of how I feel like more than anything, the pacing gets me. It's so much of the trauma because
But
we didn't have 3 books of building Nesta up. She was a side character.
And the book makes you kind of hate Feyre, which you just spent a lot of time learning to love her. And
Yeah.
suddenly she's some meek little pregnant individual who can't even be told the truth. And I super hated that part of the storyline.
Man, Reese was done dirty with that shit.
Mm-mm.
He was like, anyway, I super loved the sentient house,
Yes, that was
like
fun.
pushing Nesta and Cassian together. Spoiler alert, listeners, for all like two people that listen. And
The
I love
Valkyrie storyline,
the
beautiful.
yes, the Valkyrie storyline was really good. The house being sentient and like giving Nesta new smutty books every couple days was great. I actually really liked being in the library and
Mhm.
getting the storyline of Nesta like leading the other library acolytes or whatever into training. That was empowering.
Well,
But
that's like
yeah,
Tower of Dawn. I hated Tower of Dawn, but I really liked Nezrin's storyline in the side.
you know, I've seen some things on the internet where people hate Nezrin and they find her storyline to be the most pointless part of Tower of Dawn, and I don't get it because
I just didn't
Hale's a
like Shoal's
dick.
storyline.
I would be really interested to do a tandem read though and see if it's more palatable.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess since we've devolved away from Crescent City,
Yes.
is there anything else from this chunk of reading that's like discussion worthy?
I don't think
I
so. I think
mean,
we learned a lot during this session and it's created more questions. And so at this point, I'm super excited to sink my teeth in some more of the storyline.
I guess I'm with you. Here's one question. Since we were on the topic of all the scapegoats, and I still think that there's some type of treachery inside the wolf pack. Um, maybe we can qualify it as there's not treachery inside the wolf pack itself, but there is like an evil actor in the wolf pack. So they're not dicking over the wolf pack for their own benefit, but they are hating on Bryce, right? Okay, so we have Emily and Ethan. They must have been put in our way for a reason.
One isn't Ethan Connor's brother.
Little brother, yes. And Emily, what, she has a thing for Ethan or had a thing for Connor. And because Connor never had a thing for her and had a thing for Bryce, she just hates Bryce.
Yeah.
Are there, do you think there's anything other than unresolved hate there? Do you think either of those two characters are going to go out of their way to do anything?
Nope. I think they're very angry and ready for some revenge over stupid things.
I think if I was Emily, I think I would be super pissed off at Bryce for being as hot as she is.
Well, and isn't she described as being like second powerful to Danika by like not even close to Danika's power? Like it wasn't a close competition, but that she was still
Mhm.
up there. And so obviously there's probably some resentment towards Danika and therefore Bryce because of that relationship.
I'm also I'm starting to wonder all the people at the top. You have to think of how much of a cluster fuck this has to be, right? So Micah governs the city and whatever region the city is in, but then like the Autumn King does the same thing, but only for the Fae, and Sabine or the Prime, I guess her Sabine's daddy or whomever does the same thing, but only for the Wolfpack shifters, and the Viper Queen does the same, but only for the meat market. And how many cooks in this kitchen can we have? And is there like some type of country club that they all go meet at and talk?
Right? Like if you're a peon in this city, you have a lot of different rulers you are beholden to, and probably a lot of different rules.
So do you think, I know you said that the your theory is that the Autumn King is concocting some shit, and Sabine is just trying to keep their noses clean.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's any like cross contamination between all of the leaders? Like, do they actually get together and talk? Do they know more than they're letting on, and are they helping each other in any way?
Potentially, because we don't really have a good reason as to why Sabine hates Bryce so badly, because it sounds like what we've just learned in this section is that Sabine was well aware that her daughter had a naughty streak in her, and that it wasn't all Danika's fault, right? Because she's like, no, Danika, or it wasn't all Bryce's fault, because Danika stole the horn of her own accord, and she's trying to cover that up. So clearly she knows that, like, Bryce isn't the only thing that made Danika crazy. So she hates her for additional reasons, and I'm betting it's because of the Autumn King.
Okay, yeah. One last question. Yes or no question. So, right there before Danika was killed, she stowed all of her shit in the closet at Griffin Antiquities. One, why has nobody gotten the sword? Why has Bryce never? But if is that where the horn is?
Because Bryce hasn't gone back into that spot yet.
Are we going to read 750 pages out of 800 pages only for Bryce to open a goddamn door where she works and find everything?
From the very first chapter. Bryce did just finally go to the storage unit because she'd like saved some of Danika's clothing that she knew Sabine would throw out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I too am excited. And with that, I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
As always, you can let us know what you think. Leave us a review or email us at Becca at bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram at Becca's Book Club Adventure. That's all one word, all lowercase. We might feature you on our next episode.
Speaking of which, next time on Becca's Book Club Adventure, we'll be diving into chapters 53 through 67 of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, unless it's just so damn good we have to keep reading.
So until next time, good luck with your home renovations and keep reading those books. Thanks for listening.
Bye.